Good morning, afternoon, or evening. This is Arseni, and today I want to do the part two of my impressions of the Ork fleet. This time I want to look at them in battle. Before we begin the battle, I just want to quickly talk about the specialties of the Ork fleet, its pros and cons, and then in battle I hope to show more of what their strengths and weaknesses actually look like. So first of all, orcs are not very fast, and they're not very maneuverable. And in particular, they lack maneuver thrusters. Okay, so you can see that they don't actually have them here. They're instead covered up by the orcish flags. Um, on the other hand, their thrusters recharge very quickly, but they're not used the way that Empire or Chaos uses them to get into, to go faster over long distances. Instead, they're used by orcs to primarily ram the enemy ships at high speed very often. So that is actually something that they're very good at. Orc ships, as you might be able to see here, have a lot of guns. They have lots of heavy cannons. They've got torpedoes. They've got this shock attack mega cannon, which I'll talk about in a bit. In general, by default, orc ships have lots of guns, lots of broadsides, and torpedoes. So in that regard, they are similar to the Imperium. The big difference is that, and it's currently grayed out, but you might be able to see that they have boarding torpedoes. You can either shoot regular torpedoes or you can shoot boarding torpedoes, which let them board enemy ships at very long ranges. So that's pretty cool. Orc ships are very good at ramming. Even smaller orc ships, if they ram a larger opponent, they will do some very significant damage indeed. What else? They are very good at close range, and I hope to demonstrate this in battle, and I already talked about this in my other video. They are very, very good at boarding. Okay, so they will get a lot of boarding actions. They will set those enemy ships on fire with their boarding actions. However, orcs do suffer in prolonged fights. They want to get the fights over quickly. And in my experience with orc games, and I've played about, I think, 20 games or so with orcs, fights with orcs go either one of two ways. They either end spectacularly quickly with complete orc victory, or they end in a very prolonged fight in which orc ships basically just get outmaneuvered and outgunned. We'll see how this fight goes. In general, as you might expect, orcs are weak against chaos because chaos is more maneuverable, faster, and has better long-range weapons. Orc ships are also quite weak against assault craft, bombers, fighters, and assault boats. And I've mentioned this in my other video, orc ships by default have very poor discipline, and you cannot execute a captain when an orc captain disobeys. You have to actually unlock that as an upgrade. So that's another interesting thing. I did notice that orc ships do have some really interesting abilities. The mega, where is it? There it is. Okay, the shock attack mega cannon allows an orc ship to perform an assault action at ludicrous range, at up to 25,000 kilometers. That is basically across the map, which is kind of ludicrous. They have a few other interesting things that they can do, which I hope to show. I also noticed, just compared to the Imperium and Chaos experience, that orc ships tend to level a little faster, which I found was very interesting. Now in this battle, I hope to demonstrate some of the orcish weaknesses. So, one final word actually, I decided to have a bit of fun with my orc fleet and make it a little bit more thematic. Now orcs love asteroids. They convert asteroids into ships and their bases and even planetary assault weapons called rocks. So I decided all my ships are going to have this upgrade where they don't take any more damage from asteroids and in fact maneuver better in an asteroid field. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to send all of my ships into an asteroid field, and I'm going to lure an enemy into a place where I'm going to be relatively safe if they get in close. Okay, so as you can see here, Ork ships, they're generally not too slow, but they are quite slow to maneuver. But all my ships, except for this one, because I just upgraded him a little bit differently, have torpedoes. So I can actually open up with a lot of salvos from long range. And that is kind of what Orks actually do. They open up at extreme ranges with a lot of torpedoes. And we're going to do that. I'm going to shoot. I'm going to just rotate the ship, line up, and get some torpedoes into the fight just to see kind of what the enemy is going to do. We might be able to even provoke him to launch his fighter craft early, especially since I'm not sure if I'm facing Chaos or not, but we'll see. I think we might be facing Imperium. Orks generally perform quite well against the Imperium, I found. You just need to close range. But Chaos does give them a bit of problems. Now this is Cruiser Clash, which is pretty good to show off kind of just very standard, straightforward fight. Okay, well, we've got a couple of hits. Pretty good. Oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay, we do have some hits. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to launch our ship. Now I'm going to tell this ship to brace for impact because there's some torpedoes and I want him. We're going to slow down time. We're going to launch some boarding torpedoes because essentially what you want to do with Orks is you want to get as many boarding actions into the fight as you can. And also, it's just so satisfying pressing the big red button and launching your ships into battle. Nice. So as you can see, Ork ships just tend to plow right through the enemy. Oops. Let's turn this around. You do have to watch them because they're not. When isolated, Ork ships tend not to do very well. Let's just put it that way. And let's gonna try and ram this. Yes, okay. So that rammed. And we'll ram that. And let's set this over there. And we're going to launch some more torpedoes. Why not? And we're going to turn this around. So again, that's basically what you want to do with Orks. You want to ram enemy ships as much as you can. And yeah, just like that. You just basically want to lock on, get as many torpedoes into the fight, then just keep ramming enemy ships, locking on to target, and you know, basically get as many actual Orks into the fight. And so we're going to try to ram this Imperial ship. See if I can slow down the action. Well, we missed, but we can still board at very close range. Because you want to charge in. If you don't ram, you can always do boarding action, which usually gets the job done. Just like you see here, boarding success, which took out, well, it just did a lot of fire and took out a lot of turrets. So that's not too bad. Oh, why is he just sitting there? Let's get him into the fight, shall we? Yeah, let's get him into the fight. Got a fire over here. Alright, so that Imperial ship has worked out. So now we just basically have one Imperial cruiser, and that's really it. Let's warp him out of danger's way, because I don't want to get him heavily damaged. But essentially, between lightning strike, between boarding torpedoes, between mega cannon, which I couldn't show you how it works because I just got into rage too fast. It's a long-range weapon. I have to be at least 5,000 kilometers away. Between all those things, not to mention assault boats, if you put them on your Ork ship, Orks have a ton of boarding actions. So this is generally how Ork fights go. This was an easy victory. I did not lose a single ship. Not a single ship was heavily damaged. I basically just kept ramming and boarding and ramming and boarding and launching torpedoes every time I could. And generally that's how Orks play. If it works out, it works out. But against certain fleets like Chaos, I would expect Eldar when they come out. And actually against other Orks sometimes, Ork fleets do tend to suffer. I really like them because they are a quick and brutal fleet. You get into a fight quickly. There's not a lot of subtlety, or what the Orks call cunning. You've got a lot of boarding potential, a lot of torpedoes potential, and you're generally very, very tough. So I like this faction. It's not very subtle. It gets the job done. It's also absolutely hilarious when Ork ships collide with each other, or you press the big red button and there's the satisfying brah of the Orkish horns. I really like this fleet. They were not my favorite fleet in the actual tabletop, but I really like them in this game. I like how they play. I like their feel. Hopefully, next week the Eldar fleet will be released. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It's something that the developers have mentioned. So hopefully next week I will show my impressions of another fleet. Until then, if you like this sort of content, please like, subscribe, and share. Leave your comments below on what your thoughts are on Battlefield Gothic or anything else related, really. And I'll see you in my next video.